Since the film is still fresh in everyone's memory, I mind. Why don't we start with the climactic scene at the end? That kind of blew my mind when I watched it. The cargo, the runaway ship that crashes into it's Victoria Harbor,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, yeah.
So I'd like you to talk a little bit about it. I thought that was a very impressive scene. I kind of wondered how you made it work, 'cause we talked a lot about practical effects versus CGI. But anyway, I thought that was a really great sequence.
Yes,
And
actually, the director Herman Yao had the idea, and I think in his previous films he's destroyed quite a bit of landmarks of Hong Kong. So this is one of his things. So it wasn't really my idea, but I think it was the CG did a good job. Yeah.
I see. So what's his deal? He doesn't like Hong Kong anymore. He wants to.
No, it's just I think in his previous movies blew up the airport. He's blown up the subway. So this was his this is his thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. That was White Storm. I think
Something like that. Yeah.
He crashed cars in the subway. So actually, since we're talking about Herman Yao, who was a guest with us a few times, actually a good friend of ours, can you talk a little bit about working with him? You work with a lot of Hong Kong directors, obviously, but why don't we speak about your work with him?
With Herman, I think our first encounter was back when I was, well, it was like 20 somewhat years ago. He was actually the cameraman for Time and Tide from director Sui Hark. So that time I was like 19. So we've known each other for quite a long time. So he's a very technical guy because he started from camera work. Yeah.
Great. Before I continue, I'm going to ask a few questions, but I'll open the floor in a few minutes. So we'll have two volunteers on the side with cards. So if you want to ask a question, please raise your hand, and our two great volunteers on the side will collect the cards, and I will read them later. So let me continue a little bit, still on the action part. So there is another action director credited as well, Wing Lun, Ing Wing Lun?
Alan, yeah.
Alan Ing?
Yes.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit how do you split the work between two action directors?
Because as you can see, a lot of situations I'm underwater, and a lot of times, or I'm up some high place where I can't really look at the playback. So my partner Alan is a guy who I turn to when I'm in those kind of situations, and also because before Customs Frontline, I depended a lot on our late Benny Chan. He used to take care of basically all my action stuff. So after we finished Raging Fire 3 years ago, and he passed away, and I still wanted to continue doing action films, I thought I'd have to start my own crew one day. And Alan was the first guy I turned to because I've known him for a long time, and he used to be under Jacky Cheung, so he was in the Sengaban, their team, and then he came out, and then I asked him, hey, I think we got to start our own crew and whatnot. So we've been grabbing, I think, professionals from different fields to become my crew. So after we shot Custom Frontline, we also did Raging Havoc, which is part 2 of Raging Fire. Yeah.
Can I ask if the passing away, Benny Chan sadly passing away, was an inspiration for you to start working as an action director?
I think that's actually the main reason, because all this department wasn't really my department, although I have I have a lot of experience with it, but he used to do most of it. So him passing away really kind of shocked me that I lost my most dependable partners doing action, because the explosions you guys see, they're all real. I mean, we have explosives a meter from my butt, and all the wire work from me falling off the container, that's all real. So I find that if I have my own crew that I've known for a long time, I guess I feel a lot safer. And I mean, even for the guy doing the explosives, because the explosives are so dangerous and so real, if I've known that guy for like 20 years, he's been blowing me up ever since. He's been blowing me up ever since Gen X Cop. That's like 1999 with Benny Chan. So if I had known the guy for that long, and he hasn't known me for that well, we won't be able to put each other through such pressure.
Mm-hmm. So precisely, how do you handle the dangers of doing all these stunts if you have real explosions? How does that work? Well, there's trust, I guess, between the
I'm
team
just,
members.
yeah, there's trust, and I'm just used to it.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, my own crew, a lot of we have a lot of stuntmen from different countries. They always ask me, after a big stunt, what are you, how do you do it? I don't know. I'm just used to being blown up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you to go back a little bit to acting, actually how you balance it out, because you're doing the action is quite central to the film. How does that work? Because you're acting, but you can't really see how things are going to turn out, right?
Right.
So I'm wondering how you deal with this.
We like to pre-shoot everything on smartphone, and we will let Herman take a look if that's the direction he wants to go in, and then we'll also let the have the other actors watch the whole scene and see if they're comfortable with what we're trying to present. So and then if everyone's okay, then that's how we're gonna shoot it for real.
Let's speak a little bit, thank you. Let's speak a little bit about how you work with the other actors. I believe it's the first time, surprisingly enough, that you work with Jacky Cheung. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, we've been in the same movie, but we've not really had any true dialogue and whatnot. So it is the first proper time that we have a back and forth collaboration. Yes. And with times like these, this is when Alan really comes into play, because I think he's got a higher EQ with other actors, whereas I come off a bit harsh sometimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think we have gotten a real good balance in that sense. Yeah.
Is there anything was quite a bit older than you, I believe? Is there anything you learned from him? Was the interaction with him?
Well, I
Really?
mean, we know Jacky Cheung is the super singer, right? But he's actually very athletic, and like that scene where we were fighting with the sticks, and the bow. He did that in half the time required. We had like 8 hours prepared, but then he finished in like 4.5. So I think some people are just gifted athletically, and they've got great memory and coordinations and such. Yeah.
Right. Feel like I have to ask you because Jacky Cheung is quite well known as a singer, and I believe he sings the theme song, correct? A Far Off Place. I think
You're
you
right,
would call
right.
it in
Yes,
English.
yes.
And you wrote the song. Am
Yes.
I right?
I wrote the song after we shot the last scene where we were drinking beer, beside in front of the beach. And I knew that time Herman, our director, was looking for a theme song. And then after I went back home, I started writing this melody. And because also the role Jacky was playing, there was a lot of, we were trying to touch a bit on bipolar disorder. So the song started off like really light, and then there's, it explodes, and then it goes back light. And then I think it kind of plays how his bipolar disorder was in the movie. Yeah.
Interesting. So going back to that scene, you just talked about like being underwater a lot, particularly that long scene that I really like when you're fighting the bad guy. Right, okay. So I'm wondering about the difficulties of shooting that, because typically in Hollywood, people hate shooting in the water, doing stuff on
definitely.
boat.
Yeah.
Right. So can you tell us a little bit about the challenges of shooting
in water,
shooting on water or underwater? Even
Well,
more?
it's got to be the biggest challenge, because you can prepare for a month, but then when you're shooting, especially on the ocean, right? If the weather goes bad, then you're
It screws up the plan, basically.
you messed up. So and especially when we were shooting this, it was the end of December in Hong Kong, so it was pretty cold. And you notice I was still wearing a short sleeves uniform, right? So everyone around me, they were working the scuba gear, so I knew they were warm. Even if they were not, they could piss in their gear and they'd be warm, right? But I was in short sleeves uniform, so I was like, I was shivering like this the whole time. But then when Herman says action, so that's what I was in the water for 13 hours a day, for like as long as until we had to finish the whole thing. That was really cold, and then your coordination kind of fails, and then your dialogue is messed up because you're still shivering. And then I mean, but that's also the challenge. What made it so fun, I guess, in a way, yeah.
But there's always this risk that you're gonna get sick or injure
Of
yourself.
course, of course.
But you just go.
I mean, movies, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay. That's your dedication to the craft, I guess. I'm going to collect some of the cards, but let me jump into another scene that I quite like. At some point, there's this fight on top of a container
Yeah.
that's hanging
It's
from
about
a VTOL aircraft.
six stories, yeah.
I'm sorry?
6 stories high.
6 stories
Yeah.
high. So how did... And I heard you actually fell?
Yeah.
There was
well,
so it's a real...
It was
drop.
real, yeah. No CG. So I was harnessed on wire, and we actually practiced for like a whole week on flat ground. Well, not flat, but we elevated the container to maybe like 1 story high, and then we started from there, and then we got the shot that I was looking for. And actually, Alan, my partner, was holding the camera because after I said, okay, I want the shot to be here, the container goes up 6 stories and everything, and then I fall from the container, I land on the windshield of the car, and then the car smashes down. Okay, which cameraman's coming out with me? And everyone goes, I swear. So then I looked at Alan and said, you're going up. He says, okay. You know, that's why I had to build my own team, because eventually I know my shots are going to be, crazy, right? So with my own people, I guess we're in better hands. And if you remember that shot when I was rolling, when the container tilts, I rolled off it, and the cameraman was chasing me, and then trying to get like a POV shot of me falling down. So he was holding on to a 65-pound camera. If he didn't held on to it, properly, that thing could have dropped on my face. So we both could have gotten hurt. And then the day that we were shooting this, it was actually raining. So the whole container, for the first 2 takes, we just slipped, because after the container tilted, we couldn't even get grips. So we just like slid off. And then we were like, holy shit, this is going to be hard. But then luckily we pulled it off safe.
So, but how do you handle, you're saying, I mean, it's scary. So how do you handle the fear of getting injured with being on screen and playing convincing characters?
Well, because we practiced. Okay. So I guess, but I think the fear factor is also what makes it so legit. I think if the actor is not put through this kind of pressure or pain or suffering, I think it doesn't reach to the audience. I think this is one of the things which makes it so authentic. Yeah, I think because it is so painful or so dangerous, that in our micro expressions, it's very different than shooting on the green screen. You can't really act that kind of nuance.
So you're not exactly a big fan of CGI, in other words?
Well, depends on the movie, right? Mm-hmm. If you're doing Iron Man, sure. Yeah. But if you're doing this kind of stuff, no. Yeah. Maybe 10 years down the line when CG can really, really, take over. But I mean, up till today, why am I blowing myself up? Is because, when there's an explosion or gunfights, the explosion actually, it moves, my clothes or the hair, and then the guy is scared shitless. So you can't really fake that, I don't think, yeah.
That's true. Okay, let me see what questions you guys have tonight. There's a comment here. Always enjoy watching your action movies. They feel realistic and intense. So what makes you so obsessed with filming action scenes? I think we covered some of it. And also another comment, love you since New Police Story. Yeah, that's a good one. That was 20 years ago.
You're giving your age away.
Oh, sorry. So, yeah, you want to go back? Well, we talked a little bit. Benny Chan made you want to do these action films?
Yeah, I grew up watching action films, and I think, to me, action may be the true international language, I actually I spent a lot of time growing up in Vancouver, right? And to see people from different countries really, really respecting the kung fu or martial arts movies back then, with Jackie, with Donnie, with Jet Li, I thought it was truly a language without barrier. Today, you guys were watching in Cantonese or was it Mandarin? Cantonese, huh? Right. You know, even with a movie like this, you know, there are two different languages. With a song, there's two different, you know, languages, which to me sometimes it's still, you know, there is a barrier. But with body language, it's international. Everybody gets it. You know, every audience gets it. So my kind of action, I'm still trying to tell the story. I'm not kicking the guy because it looks cool. I'm kicking the guy because in that situation, I think that that movement, that body language delivers that kind of a presentation, I guess. Yeah. So to me, I think body language is no different than the spoken dialect.
Great. Here's another question. What inspired you to make this film, I guess, participate in the film? And is there any hidden message you wish the audiences to know or take away after the film? By the way, I love the car chasing scene. Amazingly done.
Thank you.
Lots of compliments.
Well, I think a lot of ideas came from our director Herman Yao, so I cannot take the credit for it. But there are some things that I know he's trying to touch base on. I guess a lot of you should pick up the anti-war message, right? So, you know, who would have thought we're in, you know, in 2024 and the world is so messed up, right? So there is the anti-war message. Which I really respect, and there's also he's trying to touch on the bipolar disorder, how a lot of people are having, you know, these kind of symptoms or problems in nowadays. Yeah.
Thank you. Next question is another compliment. I like your movie, of course. I like your movie Raging Fire and Invisible Target. Yeah. Presenting Hong Kong action and Hong Kong culture. Would you like to incorporate new elements like cyberpunk? So there's a reference here to Love, Death, and Robots, showing Hong Kong in a different style by by creating, I guess, new type of car chase scenes and fight scenes.
I'm open to all, you know, new experiment and themes and genres, and yeah, I mean AI is one of them, right? So if somehow we get the budget to let me, you know, go that far in the future, I'd love to. Yeah.
Would you actually direct yourself? I mean, you're doing action, but you could, I don't know, replace Herman.
I'm hesitating to direct because, you know, I know a lot of directors and they have to, you know, go through a lot of fuss, and sometimes that kind of work I think it already surpasses the art itself. They have to know about the call times. They have to know about the rent of this place, and, you know, how much that prop cost. I think it's just a lot. Yeah, I'm fine sticking to action.
We like to see on screen too. So, from your experience, what are the traits of a successful action actor? And I would add, what are the traits of a successful actor, actually?
I really don't know. I hope that through the action you can still be storytelling. Yeah, never do action for the action, but do it for storytelling.
All right, we covered this a little bit, but maybe we can cover a different angle. Hi, Nick. What is the difference between acting and being being the main star, and being the fight choreographer? Any new role you want to try in the future? Yes. Director, producer, music composer. You already write lyrics?
No, I just I think I have a lot on the plate right now, so I'm trying to still, you know, grind and get better at each position. Yeah.
Okay. Any interesting stories you can share with us while on set filming with Jacky Cheung?
Well, I think, you know, he's just a very brilliant guy, and nothing, you know, crazy. Yeah.
Okay, nothing too crazy.
Nothing too crazy. Yeah.
Nothing you can share. Let's just say. All right. Well, I don't want to speculate. How do you think this movie? How different is this movie from other films you filmed before? What do you think makes it unique
Well,
compared with?
first, the water element is, I think, is very unique, and also a big part why I took up this movie is because my last movie, Raging Fire, I was the demon, the bad guy, right? So I guess this one I'm the officer, the good guy. So I actually wanted to challenge myself to see if I could go the total opposite. Sometimes acting that way I think is it's just fun for an actor and challenging, I guess. Yeah.
Do you have any preference? Do you prefer playing villains
Oh,
or?
it's always the villain. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, especially when you're like an officer, right? You have this almost stereotype that you have to go by. You have your uniform, you have your posture. You mean if I'm the customs officer, I can't sit like this, right? So there are so much limitations in terms of acting, but you still want to push the edge. So I mean, even in my fighting, all my actions, I'm not trying to kill the guy. Even when I was holding on sticks, I never hit the guy's head. All my actions were to hit them on the shoulder. So there's a certain kind of restraint when you're trying to be the so-called good guy, right? Because if it was Raging Fire, I'd kick the shit out of him. But yeah, that's the next movie though. Yeah.
Okay, well, looking forward to. Is there any date set yet? Probably not.
No, I'm
not
doing
yet.
the editing right now. Yeah.
Okay. So you would play the Joker, but not Batman.
It's pretty mad next time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Very curious about this. Okay, so did you guys use any virtual production? Did you shoot on a virtual stage? I'm gonna guess.
No,
We're
no.
talking nothing
No,
at all.
no.
Just pure.
Just basic stuff. Yeah, but we of course there are some scenes with the green screen enhancement, like like the ending crash and all and whatnot, right? And we had to take out some of the wires and yeah.
But how did you balance that? How do you balance practical effects, real stunts with digital effects?
I think for especially for this one, I want all the people with hand-to-hand combats or the falling down, all the stunts to be real, and only the stuff that we couldn't handle. I shouldn't say we couldn't handle, but stuff like the background or the ships, the crashes. Even me falling off that 2-story, 3-story thing, would bounce back and forth. Those were all real, and I didn't, because of my uniform, I didn't even have any protective padding on. But to me, that is part of Hong Kong action. Yeah.
Okay. And that's for you. You spoke before in interviews, I believe, about keeping the spirit of Hong Kong action films alive. That's what it means to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It
Right.
also means taking the hits. Yeah.
Okay, taking hits. And I have a question, sort of similar. Can you literally hold your breath for 4 minutes?
No.
How do you do it?
No, I cannot. Maybe 2. Yes. I've had, if some of you have seen my MVs before. There's the song that I did before. Almost, most of the song I sang underwater. So I could maybe, if I'm fit, I'd say maybe 2 minutes. Yeah. Nowadays, yeah. I don't swim that much nowadays.
That's not too bad.
It's okay.
What's more difficult, breathing underwater for 2 minutes or falling from 6 or 7 floors down?
Underwater is harder.
Yeah, it's a little bit like being
Yeah,
waterboarded.
falling is all gravity.
Oh, okay. You're used to it because of previous.
Yeah. You can't do much about it.
Are you going to do more of these underwater type of action films? Do you have any ideas of?
No. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Not for now. Okay, so what was your biggest learning lesson from the movie?
Well, it's the first time I really had my own stunt team and whatnot. So the coordinating is a pain in the ass. Like if I wasn't in this business, I'd rather not communicate. But being a stunt or an action director, that's the thing you have to do is communicate. So I really hate that. But you still got to tell the other actors what you want them to do. So I guess that's my takeaway. Yeah, I picked the wrong profession.
So I think we got a time, barely, for one last question. When do you think are you going to eventually leave the genre action movies?
Well, I'm always open to any genre, any themes and roles, but I think this is one of those times where Hong Kong action or Hong Kong cinema actually needs. I may be the last of the kind, honestly. I mean, that's scary to say. Me being over 40, still doing the shit. But I just can't imagine the next generation not knowing how Hong Kong action bloomed once upon a time, and I mean, people, respectable action heroes nowadays, Tony Jaa, Scott Adkins, all these guys in their interview, they would mention how they started their career being inspired by Hong Kong fighting kung fu cinema, and then the Hong Kong dudes don't do it now. Like, what the? Right? So I mean, yeah, I'm just hoping for. I mean, with my coming movies and whatnot, to inspire new audience to think that, hey, I want to try this kind of stuff. It's pretty cool.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing your passion for action cinema, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for this.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.